Let's take a closer look at Boba Fett's Starship from the Micro Galaxy Squadron line.
Villa Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Villa Varykino YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be taking a closer look at the Micro Galaxy Squadron Boba Fett's Starship. This ship was from the launch series of Series 1, and you can see it has the launch edition gold sticker here at the top. This one was a little harder to find here in New Zealand, so we're very glad that we were able to add it to our collection. So before I dive in and open it up, I'm going to take a look at the packaging. This one is one of the larger vehicles coming in a box rather than the backing card and blister of some of the smaller vehicles. We have the figures here at the front, just above that Series 1 little note there, and of course that silver stripe across the front that says Boba Fett Starship, and the number, which is 0021. We've got a cool little graphic of the Starship there on the side. We've got some cool artwork here of Slave 1 being chased by TIE fighters and X-Wings. That's quite cool. We've got the Disney logo down there. And on the back, we've got more images here. We have the cutout collectible blueprint if you want to cut that out and discard the packaging if you're short on space, and we have here a sort of an image of the ship with some of the expected play features. Some of these can be a little bit cryptic, but I'll try to go see what I can see. This appears to show the cockpit opening. We have the turrets on the front with a 180-degree rotation. We've got the ramp extending out the back. We've got it's just showing underside detail, possibly with an open segment there, so we can open to show the seismic charges and the sort of the wings rotating there. We also have some of the other ships from that first series, the Light Armor class, the Starfighter class, and the Starship class there. And we can see that red coloring through here because they used the red branding for Series 1. Plain underside as usual, and a few more features pictured here on the side. I think this is showing the cockpit opening, not quite sure what's going on there, and no sort of movement here, but perhaps that is depicting a carbonite block. We'll have to take a closer look at that. And then of course just more of a window at the top so we can see the Starship inside. So very cool. In the back I can see a bit of artwork. We'll take a closer look at that once I get the vehicle out. To my eyes it looks like the Razor Crest in the back there, which is kind of interesting. So let's get stuck in and open this one up. Phew, finally got the Starship out of the plastic, so I'm going to pop that to the side so we can take a closer look at the box. We can see in the back that yes, that is the Razor Crest flying alongside a lot of TIE fighters and X-Wings. It's interesting that Slave 1 is not depicted in this artwork, but I have noted that they kind of sometimes reuse artwork for the packaging. In either case, very, very cool in there, and fun if you like to keep your packaging. We certainly do. So I'll pop that off to the back. We also have the little capsule with the figures. I'm going to pop that off to the side, and we'll take a closer look at the vehicle itself. So this is my first time holding it, and I like the weight of this thing. It feels quite nice in the hand. I noticed that these move quite easily and not exactly together. I can kind of flick them around a little bit. So I guess I'm going to take a look at that box and have a look at the features. First thing, I can see Jazwares always does really good sculpting details on the underside of the ships. I think this is really cool. Lots of detail here, and I can see this pale flap here. I'm just going to take a look and see how easy that is. Okay, nice and easy. There's no latch there. It's just sort of a stiff hinge there, and we can see the seismic charge sculpted there on the underside. That's quite fun. We've got possibly a slight amount of weathering. It's very faint against this light grey. I can just kind of see where it's pooled in some of the recesses. So it kind of gives it just a little bit of a dusty, sort of just a little bit weathered. You can kind of see on this black segment there, just to sort of tone down, you can see where the wash has caught in the rings against the black. Very fun. Almost, you almost never see that, especially if you have it displayed on a shelf like that, but I like that. I can also see effects of that wash on some of the darker areas, particularly on the green here of the ramp. Very cool. And of course we have the sort of beaten up paint job all over of this green and sort of rusty sort of orange red here as well. And that is sort of, it's part of the paintwork. They haven't sort of done like 2 levels of paint. It looks like it's cast in this sort of grey beige with this paint applied over the top. I can see just a very tiny little bit of misapplied paint there. There's like this little squiggle there, but it's almost not noticeable. I'm just looking at things very, very close up. We can see this wash here on the front. That looks very cool. I like that it's a dusty wash. Some of the ships in this range, it's almost a bit of a muddy wash, a little bit black, a little bit dark brown. I'm quite liking the dusty sort of lighter beige, sort of sandy tone wash to this. So I can see, I don't know if you can see that, the chair is like tipping as I'm moving this. That's quite cool. It's moving around. See if I can show that. That's quite fun. I'm seeing that already. And then we have the turrets on the front. They each move independently. They're not connected, so you can sort of pose them in different ways if you want. This one is a little stiffer than this one. This one is not quite swinging, but it is a little bit of a looser hinge than this one. So hopefully that doesn't get too much looser with time. So I can see we have something here. This looks like this might, okay. Oh, okay, it's opening this way. I was wondering where that goes. Okay, now this is the image that I think we could see. I think it's a weapon rack with a hook in the middle of it. Okay, it's a little hard to see from that image. You can see we've got a whole lot of little cast weapons there with a hook in the middle. So I'm wondering if I can fit a blaster on that. I'll have to try that later. It looks like it doesn't really have like a hinge or anything else to connect to. You might be able to swap that around. I don't really want to pull that out, but that's quite fun. And that was not too hard. I can kind of just grip that. I don't even need to get my fingernail in there. I can just sort of pull that up. That's quite fun. And I'm expecting something. Let's see if I can just pull this out. Okay, I can just pull that down. I don't know if this back door opens. It doesn't, it might. I don't know how I'd do that. I wonder if I can push that out from here. Okay, cool. That's nice and easy. Hopefully I showed that well. And that looks like there is a clip up here. See if I can, yeah, okay. So that clips up here. So I can have that fully open and the ramp all the way down. So if I close that, we can sort of have an internal compartment in there. Isn't that cool? Okay, I like that. That's very fun. So if I open that, I wonder how easy it is to get this back out again. I'm gonna chip my nails doing that, aren't I? Okay, let's have a go. I might just leave that up there for now. But I think that looks cool. And that one just kind of clips into place. And let's see what some of the other features are if I just close that one up. Okay, so the cockpit opens. I assume we're just going to clip it under here, nice and easy. And we can see that this is attached to the wings, which is kind of fun. It's like weighted. It wants to sort of flick back into place, but then when I tip it, we can see that, yeah, it kind of centers itself. So if you're flying this around the living room, it's going to sort of tip itself, which is really quite fun. I like that feature. So we've got these bits that move. We've got the cockpit, this part, flap under here, that back door, which I've now clipped into place. I'll see if I can get that undone. So do we have, I don't think there's any landing gear. Doesn't look like it. So I guess those are the main features. I'm just going to double check on the box and make sure we've caught them all. So we've got the cockpit, that little sort of gun rack there. We've got the ramp, the turrets, the cockpit opening, the seismic charge bay, and the wings moving. So yep, those are all the features of this ship, which is a lot really. That's really quite cool. Again, I feel like this range is really quite well marketed, perhaps targeted to adult collectors, but I'm always impressed with the range of sort of play features for these ones. They look really cool, high level of detail. You know, they don't have like big plastic firing, you know, missiles or anything like that you expect to find on children's toys, but they have all those sort of little features and moving parts. This isn't just a static display piece. You can really sort of pose it the way that you want to on your shelf. And there are enough features there if you have children of the appropriate play age. It is noted as an 8+ toy here. So I'm going to pop that down and we'll move on to the tiny little figures here. These are always so cute. So I'm going to take a look at Boba Fett and Fennec Shand. Pull them out of their little plastic compartment here, which is always a great little way of storing these figures if you are worried about losing them. They've got that nice little nameplate there. You can store them away and not worried about them getting lost in the vacuum cleaner. So I'm going to start off with Boba Fett. Now he is looking like his Book of Boba Fett version, of course, which would be correct because it comes with Fennec Shand. So we've got a pretty good paint job for such a small figure, which I am always impressed with this line. We've got green details, some red on his helmet, his bright orange kneecaps and shoulder armor. He's even got a backpack, which is on a peg. I don't want to try and remove that in case I break a little peg. It can swivel a little bit. I thought maybe it had been glued off to the side, but it does actually turn there a little bit. We have the same sort of posability with his arms moving up so they can sit in a cockpit, and we can put him in a seated position. So that skirt is part of his legs, so you don't have to worry about that sort of being bending or awkward when you go to put him in his cockpit. So very, very cool. I'm going to leave him seated and we'll take a look at Fennec. So much more simple in terms of the paint application for this figure. She is all in black with a couple of orange elements on her helmet and the front skirt, and a little bit of an armband there. But nonetheless, the detail is quite neat. I can see all the little details, the little greebly on her jacket, the stripes. It's really quite impressive how much detail they fit on these tiny little figures. So she's going to have the same level of articulation. So now that we've got them ready to fly a Starship, let's see how well they fit in the cockpit. So the thing I'm curious about is, because this cockpit moves, is going to be how hard is it going to be, and whether or not I drop my figures into this cavity there, because I don't know if there's like a way to like lock this in place. Like I don't really want to just sort of jam it against the sides. I'm going to have to sort of like hold it. And I noticed that there are clips here that we have seen in some of the Starships. So it'll be interesting to see how well they hold them in place, or else I'm going to be shaking this thing out to get the figures out. I'm going to try Fennec Shand because she is smaller. I'm going to see how well she fits in one of these back seats, I think. So it's going to be really tricky. If I can't manage to do this on camera, I will insert some pictures because I really don't want to break my brand new figures. And this is kind of hard to do with two hands, because if I let go, it kind of wants to sink into the bag. That's going to be a bit tricky. I'll see how well I can do this. I can't. Holding this, moving these wings, doesn't really want to. I can't pull the cockpit forward by moving the wings. I kind of have to do it like this. I wonder how well I can do this. Sorry, this is wrestling with toys. It's quite tricky, but I can get those figures in there, which I'm so happy about. Those little clips that hold the figures in place do make it a little bit tricky to sort of scoop their legs in to get them seated, but obviously because this part moves, you do need those clips to hold them in place, and I think they look really cool in there. You can even fit a third character there if you've got another one from the Book of Boba Fett, because you can see them through this big window here. So a lot of the Starships in this line have very small windows, like tiny little X-Wing cockpits and stuff like that, or dark ones like TIE fighters that once you put the lid down, you can't really see the characters through the windows. This one is such a wide clear cockpit. We can see the figures in there. I do apologize for the light reflection, but in person I can see them quite clearly. Obviously, if I open that cockpit up, you can see just those bright colors there within that sort of gray interior, and I think they look really cool, and those clips hold them in well. In order to get Boba Fett in, I did have to take off his tiny little jetpack, but it just slid off with a peg attachment style there, so just going to keep that in the little plastic container so I don't lose it, because you can see that back fits right up against him, so it's a snug fit and it keeps those figures secure, and I think they look really cool. You can see Boba Fett piloting his starship there. So overall, I think this is a great addition to the Micro Galaxy Squadron line. Obviously, this is advertised as 8+. It is sold as a toy, and I think there's a really good balance of play features and details that collectors will like. I like the paint, I like that wash, I like the way that it's got just so much detail, so if I put it on a shelf, it looks like a good collectible. But then if you're buying it for children, there are lots of opening canopies and play features. I think this is just a fabulous collectible. I'm really happy with it, and I know that the Jango Fett version of the Starship is on my wish list, and I think that that one is moving up to the top of my wish list fast now that I've got my hands on this one. I think this is really, really cool. I don't know how I'm going to display it. I kind of wish that this was one of the Starships in the range that came with a display stand. I think it would look really cool on a shelf in its upright sort of flying position. You know, it looks cool landing like this. Obviously we see it like that in Cloud City, loading a Captain Solo into the cargo hold. But I think with that moving cockpit, the way that the figures can move means that they just look so cool when it is like that. I know that there is a good amount of third-party display stands for this range. I think I might be looking at a stand for this because I think it just looks really cool in its sort of flight mode. Because everything moves. I think it's really quite cool. So let me know in the comments down below if you have this one already or if it is on your shopping list. I'm so glad I opened it up. I just love all these features, the detail, the paint, the weathering, and nothing's too fiddly. Some of the vehicles in the range, I really had to wrestle with some of the components, you know, flaps that didn't want to open, or the Republic gunship wing is really hard to click in. I was quite surprised with that one. But this one, it comes out of the box all together, and I think it's just fabulous. So thank you so much for watching my unboxing and review. We'll have more Star Wars unboxings coming up very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next video. And as always, may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. Check out our other videos and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.